All right. We talk a lot about the college football playoff on this show. Why? Because we love winners, quite frankly. We understand that the regular season is the most beautiful thing about college football. I love bowl games. I love conference championships. I love the college football playoff as well. Who are the dark horses right now? Like, think about last year. Michigan, never been in the college football playoff before, found their way in. Cincinnati, never been in the college football playoff before, they find their way in. I'm going to give you three dark horses real quick and tell you who I think of those three has the best chance to make it into the big dance. We waste no time. Minnesota, they're off this week. They go at Illinois, at Penn State. They got Rutgers, at Nebraska, Northwestern at home, Iowa at home, finish at Wisconsin. Why we like them? Experienced quarterback. Tanner Morgan's been there for 47 years. That helps you a lot in the game of college football. They also have a running back, Mohamed Ibrahim. If you haven't watched him play, I would encourage you to do so. He puts on a clinic every single week, leaves the defense with a juice box and a t-shirt, says, thanks so much for coming. Come back next week. He is a dude. That is a formula that is going to allow them to be successful late into the season. Also, haven't played a ton of formidable competition just yet, but they're only allowing 8.5 points a game. That's ridiculous. That's best in the country. The big hurdle we're looking at, that Penn State game. Got to go to Penn State in Happy Valley. If they can win that game, this conversation becomes a lot more interesting. How they'd have to do it, though, got to be a one-loss conference champion. That's the strain point for them. So likely you play Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten title game. We'll see what happens, but we like Minnesota a whole lot as one of our dark horses. UCLA. Everyone's talking about USC and Utah. What about UCLA? They're undefeated. They just took Utah to the woodshed. They got at Oregon, got Stanford, at Arizona State. They go Arizona at home, USC at home, at Cal in the Pac-12 title game. That's the gauntlet for them. We like them because the offense is lethal. Scoring over 40 points a game. Got an experienced dual-threat quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, going to keep you in a whole lot of games. They're really solid on the run. I mean, giving up 100 yards a game, it's pretty solid. That's going to honestly be a difference maker in the Pac-12. I think UCLA is one of the tougher teams, which we didn't really expect. Kind of a tough brand of football being played down there in Los Angeles. Here's what has to happen for them. And this is the tricky part. Got to go undefeated. Just the way that it works in the Pac-12 conference, just the connotation you have around the West Coast, just the kind of brand of football that they are viewed to be playing down there. If you're a one-loss conference champion, I think you get left out. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I think that's the way it works. So, with that being said, may have to beat a team twice. Whether it's Utah, have to beat them again, or it's USC. That is easier said than done, but we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. I'm excited to watch how this unfolds for UCLA, because I think they got something special down there in Westwood. TCU, we already talked about it. They're our third dark horse. They have a statement game against Oklahoma State. That would be an enormous win for them. Then they play Kansas State at home. They go to West Virginia. They play Texas Tech at home. Then they go to Texas and to Baylor. Play Iowa State and then have the Big 12 title game. Like we already talked about, I think TCU is in some way, shape, or form filling the mold that I thought Oklahoma was going to be, because they're playing really great offensively, and what that allows them to do in a conference that is very much in a transition period, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new quarterbacks, they're hitting the ground running and they're wasting no time, and it's ramping up at just the right time in their schedule. If they can get past Oklahoma State, things will get very, very interesting. The offense itself, in my opinion, with how explosive they are, with how they're built, with what Max Duggan brings running the football, I think they'll be in every single game they play in. Now, the stretch that worries me is at Texas and at Baylor. That's both in November. Not necessarily a recipe you get excited about, but it could happen. Again, with the way the Big 12 is situated, you would have to win, quite frankly, you'd have to beat a team twice. So not the same situation as UCLA, because UCLA may draw somebody else in the Pac-12 title game, but for TCU, you're drawing somebody twice. Can you beat them twice? It's a very, very big variable. The difference, though, and this is why I like TCU the most of these three, I think a one-loss Big 12 champion gets in. We've seen it in the past, especially if they were to drop one of those games in November and then get to avenge it in the Big 12 title game. That would be huge. That would be the way I think you could see them getting into the title game or getting into the getting into the college football playoff rather. So all three of these teams, some dark horses, got some big games on the horizon. It's only going to be week 7. A lot of football to be played, but keep an eye on these three because I like how they're built. I like the structure of their offenses. I like what they do defensively, how tough they are. All three of these teams are tough. It's kind of the key word here. Keep an eye on what these teams do the rest of the college football season. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.